Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Arnold Johnson. My wife Karen, my children Kimberly and Shannon and Susan were family to Robert and Kay. Not the kind of family that shares DNA, but the kind that shared the DNA of Jesus. Yeah, we were their family. And Robert asked me a while back, he says, when I die, he says, would you do me the honor of sharing the eulogy at my service? And I said, yes, I would be happy to do that. So I prepared, after Kay called and we heard the news of Robert's passing, I sat down and I began writing some thoughts, and I got it all worked out. I think Frank did a great job, and the pastor did a wonderful job of bringing the gospel. And as I wrote this thing out, I went through it a couple of times, and I've got it down to about 90 minutes, so don't worry. It'll go fast. And Robert was a husband and a man of God, a best friend to many. He was a father and a brother, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and a brother in the Lord. Born on July the 12th, 1935, he graduated to be with Jesus on April 11th, at 88 years young, almost 89. I always called Robert Bob. Bob and I were close friends. We met in 1989 at Aurora First Assembly up in Denver area. Karen and I and our 2 children at the time, we were transferred to Denver for a job, and we started attending church there. And Karen joined this ministry called Discipleship Dynamics, and she met Bob there. And Kay was not at the ministry because her ministry was taking care of kids for other people that were part of that ministry. And that's what she did, right? And she came home and she says, I met this man named Bob, and you need to meet him. You guys would get along just great. So I joined the ministry with him, and we became fast friends. We spent many Tuesday nights together, bringing the gospel to those that visited our church. Can everybody hear me back there? I've got kind of a weak voice. So, Bob was a gifted evangelist. For those of you that knew him well, he would always find a way to bring Jesus. Amen. And it was at these beginnings that Bob and I just became fast friends. We shared our lives together. We shared over meals. Bob liked to eat, and I like to eat too. So we would eat just about any time we could. And I would say, Frank, that when they brought the food, even though Kay was bringing him soup, he wanted just a double portion. That's the way Bob was. He was going to have that food that they had, and he was going to have the other food too. Yeah. We shared our lives together over the meals, over church, road trips into the Colorado mountains, and as you said, fishing and hunting, camping, birthdays, anniversaries, any other significant event that we could think of that would bring us together. That's what we did, and that's what brought us together. And we spent a lot of time together. He and Kay were more than friends to us. They were family. They were like grandparents to our children, and even though they were like grandparents to our children, but our kids called them Uncle Bob and Aunt Kay, right? Bob had an insatiable desire to slay the trout in the lakes and the streams of Colorado. He would patiently bait the hooks for our kids, Kim and Shannon. And he showed them how to tell when the fish were biting, and then how to land them. And then the best part was, after he got the fish and he cleaned them, he brought them back and he cooked them up into this fabulous meal out at the campsite when there was no kitchen, and you would eat this stuff and you'd go, how did he do that? That was Bob. Yeah. My girls love fishing to this day and credit much of that to Bob. We've never had so much fun, laughing, crying, singing, and just being together. I'm going to share some of these important events to give an idea who Bob was to us. We camped at Rabbit Ears Pass one year. There were no bathrooms or showers, so we roughed it. That's what Bob called it. We caught all limits of trout in the nearby lakes and streams, and Bob always prepared those gourmet meals, so he cooked them up and we enjoyed all of that. And every morning we'd get up at the camp and he'd get the griddle out and he'd make these pancakes. You've never had pancakes like he made. They were so thick and fluffy, and you'd put I don't know what he put in them, but it was magic, and we'd eat those out in the wild. And I would think about all the people that go to the IHOP and get the mediocre ones. I was always careful with Bob, knowing that his disability was a hindrance to him, his back. And he was, even when he was in his 50s, it was hard for him. He hit his back pain and he trudged forward through life. You wouldn't know, because he would just work and go through it. And this particular camping trip that we went